Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of our podcast and YouTube, Ladies Who Lead. Today, we have a very special guest with it to join us all the way from America, and her name is Miss Starr. Ladies Who Lead is a movement where we empower and help women to build confidence, build resilience, develop leadership skills, and all things personal development for them to be their best selves and live their best lives. So, Miss Starr is a life coach. She is a certified women's empowerment life coach and a motivational speaker. She is on a mission to empower, encourage, and motivate women from all over the globe to live abundantly, following her spiritual path, which is with the words of wisdom from Jesus himself. So, hello, Miss Starr. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Do you want to add anything to that introduction?
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. I am super excited. You nailed it right on the spot. I'm on a mission, ladies, to empower, encourage, and motivate all women all over the world to live life in abundance because Jesus made a way.
That's absolutely beautiful, and I love what your message and what you do. Your work is so empowering, and it's really helping to lift people, lift women all over the world to be living in more empowered states. So thank you for that. So today's episode, we're going to get straight into it, and it's a very all encompassing. It's a little bit emotional, a little bit sensitive. It's all about healing. So healing is a huge topic, and it applies to absolutely everybody because I'm sure everyone's been through something somewhere, someplace, sometime in their life. And it's called Peel to Heal, which is specifically titled that way because it's relevant in the sense that in order to heal, we must peel back all the layers, like peeling an onion, to get to the root and really develop from that point. So the first question, we're going to go through our sequence of questions as usual. The first question is, why do we need to heal? Why is it important?
Oh,
So, yeah, it's such a, you know, huge topic and a big question. So, to start with, for me, there are so many reasons why people need to heal. Often in adulthood, we are carrying pain of some sort, maybe from childhood trauma, painful experiences that we experienced in adult life, and all of these things create memories in our brains, and often these are repressed memories which create repressed feelings and emotions which we carry in our hearts, in our souls. And often people don't speak up, they keep the thoughts at the back of their minds because it's too painful to address. This often then leads to emotional overwhelm, and when there's so many memories that have built up, and ultimately this can lead to sickness and over time even lead to catastrophic consequences. So really, as the name suggests, we're talking here about peeling back the layers, get to the root cause, solving the problem, and stopping the avoidance. This is the reason why it's so important, why we need to heal in order to reclaim ourselves. So, Mr. R, I'm going to ask you to elaborate on that from your side, and share your point of view.
absolutely. Everything that you said is accurate. Healing is essential. Healing, you don't want to let the past define who you are. When you are not healed properly, you are still thinking about the past, and people say this all the time, is that then they still live in the past and then they're not able to move on. So you must be healed from that. And like you mentioned, anytime you're taking unhealthy past, or I say baggage, into the future, you're broken. So it is important that you heal. Just like a wound, you have a wound, right? And then it has a scab, and then you might put a band-aid to cover over it. So if you're not healed, then it's like you're that wound that you have, you're putting a band-aid over it, but you're not showing up as your authentic self, and it's going to bother you. You have to heal to maneuver life successfully. You don't want to think about the past, ladies. You want to think about the future. You want to be able to move forward, and you want to show up as the best version of yourself. Being healed, oh my goodness, it's an awesome feeling, and it takes many levels, right? If you are healed, then mentally you can think straight. If you are healed physically, then you're going to want to go out, you want to exercise and take care of yourself. If you are healed financially, then you are able to maneuver your finances right. If you are healed emotionally, when you show up in this world, you're going to be able to talk, you're going to be able to go day by day. So that is why it is extremely important to heal. It covers all aspects of life, and you want to be able to live successfully. And those are the reasons why healing is just, it's extremely, it's essential.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And really, like we say, peel to heal, it's really about going back to basics. And you absolutely owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be that person who would have been if the trauma didn't happen. So who would you be if the things that hurt you didn't happen? That's the person that you truly are, because those things shifted you, they changed you, they hurt you, they maybe even slowed you down, stopped you from doing things that you wanted to do. So it's so important to heal in order to reclaim yourself. And like you said, a very, very important point, to not continue to live the pain of the past and keep it in your soul, keep it in your heart, and relive the pain, to like extract yourself from that, and rediscover yourself in a better sense, having learned from the experience, obviously, because you're not the conditioning that happened to you. Because often a lot of the pain that we carry, which is the reason for healing, is conditioning that
Yes.
other people put on us, specifically, like a lot of it comes in our childhood. If we had people who hurt us, like parents, like siblings, like relatives, society, people who said things or did things that really didn't feel right, and shifted our perspective on life and how we perceive ourselves. Also, another thing I will say is, if you look at it universally, it's a ripple effect across the universe to build
Yes.
to build to build that healing across the universe. Because, and to me, that's a universal responsibility. So if you heal, another person heals, and another person heals, and it becomes easier for other people to heal, because you create that energetic shift where people are able to talk about how they feel, and how to solve the problems that they have. So if you have been through pain, even if you've caused pain to somebody else, it's up to you to establish why that happened, and make a conscious effort not to repeat the patterns, and to become a better version of yourself as a result. Because often we learn from mistakes, we're human,
Yes.
and that's totally fine. So thank you for that. That's really insightful. The next question is, let's now have a look at some suggestions to heal for our listeners. Again, for me, it's about inward perception, looking inside yourself. In my practice, I carry out holistic healing, which is all encompassing. It looks at the person in terms of their mind, body, and soul. So it's not just the therapy that looks at a specific thing, i.e., you're sick, so you need this medication. It also looks at the root cause of what's happened. Has something been brewing in the background which created this illness in the first place? So it's psychological, it's soul led, and obviously the body if there is sickness, and that's holistic therapy that I use. So what are your suggestions for healing?
Absolutely. Great question. So to heal properly, here are a few suggestions that I've utilized in my life and I've seen to work for so many women. The first one I would say is definitely prayer.
Hmm.
Prayer is powerful. In prayer, you can say whatever you want. I actually have a whole prayer space in my home, and I call it my war room. And it is a space to just comfortably be you and just talk to God in that space and pray. If you are not healing properly, or what is the cause of you not healing, what is bothering you, it's a safe space for you to go to and just pray. any way that you desire, and just to let out that release, right, of all your emotions. So the first one I would definitely say is prayer. Another suggestion that has successfully worked for me is the power of therapy. And therapy, first of all, you have to find a therapist that you connect with, someone that you trust, and someone that you are open to telling your feelings to. There are so many resources out here for therapy. I know Better Health is a website that they promote a lot, and I know a friend that utilized that website, but it is absolutely essential to have therapy, and it gives you a chance to talk with someone about what you're going through. And then that person in return, just like we're doing, is able to give their perspective, their advice, give you homework assignments, and really get to that root cause of why you are not healed. To continue in your healing, definitely life coaching. And I would say the first step is, if you are healing from a matter that happened in your past and you have some trauma, start with the therapy first. After, when you are comfortable and you just want to continue healing, life coaching is very helpful, and that's where I come in. That is my heart. That's one thing that I specialize in, and it's the most popular topic for my life coaching sessions. And what we're doing in there is, we are an accountable individual. You can trust us. We're that motivational friend. So whatever you are healing from, what we're gonna do is take it into the future. We're gonna talk about what your goals are for healing on the future, and then we're gonna come up with some wonderful homework assignments, so that way it gives you a deeper perspective of what healing looks like, why you're not healed, and how you should heal. And we navigate that. Oh my goodness, Nari, this is so passionate to me because I want to help women heal.
Mhm.
So, for example, one of my assignments for one of my clients was to actually write a letter to the individual that she needed to heal from. And it was different because this individual is no longer here, and she didn't get a chance to get off all her emotions and feelings. And what I did for her in that moment after the session, she wrote the letter. It was 2 pages, and she was able to get all her feelings and emotions out on paper. And I had her read it to me. And I said, after that, how do you feel? And it was that release. And I think it's so important to release that tension from your life to be healed properly. Another suggestion to healing is also meeting other women, other people that are healed and that can speak to it. Ladies, nowadays, there's so many opportunities, from this to podcasts. You have live woman empowerment events. And what's better than virtually, right? Where you can stay home in your pajamas and attend an event virtually. And there are so many events that you can attend to be with other women, to feel positive, and connect, because you're not the only one going through this. There's so many women, and I think we're at a time where we can talk to one another to heal one another. So forming a community, there's Facebook's community, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, so there's YouTube. There are so many videos, podcasts, and women in groups that you can attend. Another suggestion is to take time for yourself. Woo! This is also important, whether it's taking a break from work to do a mental health check-in, to go on vacation, taking that time for yourself. Honestly, Nari, there was one time, one year, where I deleted social media and took time just to work on myself so that way I can heal. And during that time, I also journaled. It's important to journal out your feelings of where you want to be and where you want to go. And going on vacation, sometimes literally just going, taking a walk or going to that park up the street to take that time to walk and work on yourself is so essential to healing. So those are my suggestions that I live by to heal: life coaching, therapy, joining other women in groups, empowerment events, podcasts that you can connect with, taking the time to say, you know what, I need this time to step away and work on myself so that way I can be a better person.
I love that answer. So much insightful, amazing information there that really, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, and it's really constructive, like active steps that people can take in order to heal. So thank you so much for that. And just to add to that, something I'll say to make it a little bit more like, in terms of our own vulnerability that we have to show vulnerability in order to heal. And I just remember it just reminded me of a point, like in terms of connections, we all have our friends, and then we make like childhood friends, and then we make connections as we get older when we go to work, university, and so on. I know a lot of my friends are. I do have a lot of my childhood friends in my life still, and I remember when we were all about like 25 years old, and we'd actually never told each other. We'd gone through like with some of them primary school, all of them secondary school, some of them college, and we'd all gone to different universities, and we'd never actually told each other. We'd spent so much time with each other. The stuff that we'd actually experienced, for example, in our childhoods, something that may have happened to different people, because we were like kind of, that emotional band-aid was there, trying to mask, pretending to be perfect, not opening up and showing vulnerability. And I for one was like hugely robotic because I come from a highly functional background. Feelings weren't openly discussed, and it was really hard for me to talk to people, and I was often listening to other people's problems, and it took me a lot to really open up and say, actually, there's this side of me, and I feel, this, that. It was hard for me to talk about feelings, and once we did that, we just took all our friendships to another level, because we truly genuinely then after that knew each other, and we could pinpoint, okay, that's why you do that, because that's your trigger, and I know where your trigger comes from because I know your story. And it's just so powerful in terms of building strong bonds and connections. Like you say, this podcast is Ladies Who Lead. It's really to connect women in order to empower, in order to heal, in order to better our lives, and become that person that you were meant to be. So just seconding like some of the stuff that you said, like I think you can also, I totally say, in terms of all the life coaching, I personally, with my clients, people say, I have this problem and I want to get to this point. I need this development in my career, or this situation. But for me, I always go backwards first, because you can't fully change what you need to change for your future unless you do all the sweeping up and cleaning up in the background, i.e., the things that are causing you to do the things that you're doing and why they're becoming repetitive patterns, in order to then be constructive for your future. So that really works, and I think it's really important to do that background work, which requires healing. Also, just some other points really is being in nature. Hugely, it's holistic. It's nature's way of healing you. Like they say, all the medication in the world, it's in the plants. It's everything natural that God gave us. So then that goes on to nutrition. Like eating healthy food, your body feels good psychologically. You feel good, you heal. Exercising, looking after your body, trying to put it into an optimum state. Like if you are not feeling good about your body, or you're not eating good food, and that toxicity, you can feel it in yourself. If you have a balanced diet and you're healthy, you feel better, right? And also having, while you're going through a healing journey, because it's not overnight, is it? When you're recovering, when you're getting better, you're getting stronger and more resilient, you need to have hobbies. You need to have places where you can go, where you meet like-minded people who kind of energize you. They make you feel happy because you've got a mutual interest. For me, some of them are like sports related, and it just makes people feel happy. Go and play some sport, have a game of netball, play some tennis, whatever. And then laughter is so important as well. Laughter. There's actually laughter therapy that they do in different parts of the world, specifically I think more in Asia, but it's definitely going more mainstream in Western cultures as well. Laugh because you release chemicals, and it's good for you. Laughter, making people laugh, making people happy, and yeah, and a lot of the times what we're doing when we're healing is, lastly I will say, is breaking ancestral patterns. So where things have gone on in, like, our parents did this, then our parents did this, then we did this, and it's a repeat. It's up to you, once you become consciously aware, to break it and say, no, I'm not going to live the repeat of that life, because I'm not that person, and I can now create a life based on who I am that's going to be more empowering, for example, for the next generation. So it's really, really powerful in terms of healing, and these suggestions are very relatable and brilliant. So thank you very much for that. Next, we're going to look at, how do I know when I am healed? So I've got 3 points on this. I'm just going to mention first, and I'm going to let you talk about your how you would know. So for me, it's first of all, it's liberation. So you know you're healed when you're liberated from the whatever happened to you. That's when you become the conscious creator of your life. So you make decisions based on who you are, not the trauma that happened to you. You come out of robotic mode, um, and this is really prominent because a lot of people call what is unconsciously happening to us. They call that fate, but it's not fate. It's up to you to find it, get to the root of it, and then reverse it, which is possible. So really, it's about going back to the basics and finding your authentic self. Once you find the authentic self, then guess what happens? You come into your power. So that includes your personal strength. Your personal strength means you're more confident, it means you're more capable, and it means you're more assertive. More even so than you were before the event. So, like, say something that may have happened to me, I might have thought, oh yeah, I'm quite assertive, I'm intelligent. After the event, I realized actually I was quite naive to think that people thought like that, or people would do that. So really, you find your own weaknesses and you build on those weaknesses and you make them into strengths, right? Secondly, like you said, relating to others, you grow closer bonds, you grow a support network, you connect with people who want to share and want to listen and want to guide and heal and help. So you connect with those like-minded, empathetic people who understand and can give you a safe space to share whatever's happened to you and help you to come out of it. And lastly, last one for me is you start to have an appreciation of life. You start to live in the present. You have gratitude for all the things that you do have rather than what you don't have, and you're happy for other people, and you understand other people's pain. So because you've been through pain, you understand how pain feels, so you would never want anybody else to feel that pain. In fact, you would go out of your way to help people come out of that pain, make people happy in the moment, make people laugh. So that's really, to me, when you're doing these sorts of things, that's when you know you're healed. So yeah, I'd love to hear your version of healing, of knowing you're healed.
Yes, you mentioned some really great points, especially about gratitude for life. I think that is so important. We'll actually start with that one too. Just like you said, Nari, I agree. When you are able to look at that situation, and I always say this, and I live this in my life as well, when you're able to take, it might have been negative, right? But to take it and switch it to a positive, find the positive, whatever it was in that situation or in that person, but taking it apart and finding a positive, finding the source that makes you happy. It was something that I went through, and I said, you know what? But this went well. And you have to be healed to take that part from it. One extremely important thing too is forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It is extremely important to forgive that person. And it doesn't mean that you have to be around that person all the time or
Mm-hmm.
that incident, but you know your forgive them, when you're able to see them and you don't have any angry feelings anymore, you're able to give them a hug and you're able to move about your day. So forgiving that person, God does not want us to have feelings or be of an anger towards someone. He wants us to forgive. Forgiveness sets you free,
Yeah.
and he forgave us, right? So our my first thought is that we should forgive others, and it just frees us. You know you are healed when you are able to look at a person, to see the positive, and you see forgiveness. It's also a time when you are not feeling anxious about what happened to you from the past, when you're able to wake up every day and say, you know what, I can start this day well. You're not thinking about the issue, you're not thinking about the trauma. And ladies, when you're able to sleep well at night, let me tell you, because they always say that person is able to sleep well and I'm still thinking about it. So when you are not an anxious, constantly thinking about it, but able to sleep well at night, you know you are healed. When you're able to talk about the person or the incident and you're like, hey, this is what I take from it and I forgive them, and you can talk freely about it and you're positive, you are healed. When you are not angry about it anymore and you just let it go freely, you are healed. And I think most of all important is just flipping it back. When you have that moment, and then when you peel back that layer and say, hey, I went through this in this time and now I am healed. How can I take this incident and inspire so many people? How can I help them? And I want to help them. And I think that's when you get to your point and your passion and what your calling is being. And I think that is so important because I want you ladies to sleep well. I want you to move forward and forgiving others, being able to sleep and being able to move fully and freely in your life is extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because from that place is like when you have the strength to actually do the things that you want to do. Because you, like you said, you've slept well, you're energized. Sleep is one of the most important things that we need to be healthy. And then you can do the things that you want to do. Because, like you said, the first thing that if you're going through trauma, or if you're like hurt or you're in pain, the first thing that it affects is your sleep. You can't sleep, you're not going to be able to sleep, so naturally you become unhealthy. Because overthinking steps in, doesn't it? But once you're healed, you can have that the normal sleep that your body requires, and then be fulfilled energetically in terms of your strength in terms of your body. And yeah, I love that. It's so important, and I love the stages that you went through. They're really relatable, so yeah, can really feel that. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the stages of healing. So some of the stages that I've seen people go through, some of the obvious stages that you have is when something traumatic happens. And let me just say one thing: all pain to every person is relative. So you can't say, for example, well, I went through this and you went through that, so my pain is much bigger than your pain. No, not at all, because it's relative against our own experiences and the things that have happened to us in life. So we really only compare ourselves to ourselves. So whatever happened, when I say that, I mean, like, bereavement is a huge reason for trauma, for needing to heal. And that could be like somebody else might go through something much smaller than that, but to them it could be the world. So the stages that I have seen or observed are firstly denial, like waking up in the morning and thinking, no, that hasn't happened. Has it? Has that really happened? And being in denial, wishing it hadn't happened, and then staying in that denial for a while because it's just too painful to face. It's too painful to admit, to accept. So the denial is there. Once the denial comes away, the anger starts to come in. The anger, why did this happen? Being, hugely upset and angry. But everybody displays anger in different ways. You know, like some people just aren't angry towards other people, and that's great. But some people are directly confrontational and angry. People express themselves differently. But even being angry at yourself, you can be angry in so many different ways. Then the person starts to go to a bargaining stage. Bargaining is where you're negotiating almost with yourself. You're bargaining with yourself, and you're saying, but what if this had happened? What if that had happened? If only I'd done this, but this, but that. Like the bargaining stage. And you know, that's really, like, some people call it racking the brain. Yeah, and that can be quite exhausting and consuming. And then once that's over, the person then goes into depression. Depression is where the person is adjusting to the new kind of normal after the event, and it's sometimes called rumination, where the brain processes the trauma and has strong memories and intrusive feelings about what happened. After all of those stages comes the real healing, which is the acceptance. So I'll let you obviously go on from that point, but the acceptance to me is is that point where we talked about, where you find yourself, you accept what happened, you let go of the trauma, you do the forgiveness that we spoke about, you start to recreate yourself, live the life that reflects you, you be true to yourself, you don't follow any crowd or try to fit in, you process your own healing in your own time, in your own style. So important. Then you start to look at the lessons learned, like, what did I learn from this experience about myself, about other people, and what did I learn about other people's reactions to the trauma as well, even people who were not directly involved. How has that trauma changed my life, and what can I do with it? Then the person starts to take control, which is active steps to change and to and coping strategies in order to cope with what happened, which then comes to me. The final point is the mastery, which is refining the coping skills and reframing the experience into a positive light, in terms of, well, that means this, and these are the things that I actually got out of it. So if I didn't that didn't happen, maybe this would have happened, but if I look at it in a different scenario, then actually these are all the gifts I gained after the experience. So you then just focus on the benefits, and also the acceptance that everybody is on their own journey, so they'll learn at different times. You can't control anybody else's awakening, right? You can only control yours. So for me, that is really a process of recovery, and it really involves you being fully committed and invested in your own healing. So how can you elaborate to that, please?
Yes, absolutely. There are so many stages in healing, ladies, and everybody goes through different stages at different points. There's some stages, like you said, that they might be angry, denial, and then they may go back. So no one stage is better than the others or different in the process. We all experience. I think what you mentioned, the first thing is that shock. You are very shocked about what happened, and sometimes you question, like, why did this happen to me? And you're trying to figure it out. So during that time you're shocked, you have a lot of questions and that are running through your mind. And then from there, sometimes it's a numbness, right? You don't feel the pain, you kind of numb it, or what we call displacing it. So when you may blame someone else or put it on a thing, or you might get real busy with your time, you kind of displace that feeling and keep yourself in constant distraction to not think about the traumatic event. And then you might experience sadness.
Mm.
Sadness, you're disappointed, you're like, why? And then you have sadness within yourself, like, oh, I can't believe this happened to me. You might cry more regularly, which I want to say too, I find crying very therapeutic.
Mhm.
You just want to be in a space where you're able to express yourself so comfortably. So it's okay to cry. It's okay to shout. It is okay to express your feelings. These are all parts of the healing process.
Mhm.
And there might be sometimes a day, ladies, I don't know if you ever felt like it, you feel like you're superwoman, and then the next day you just feel, you don't feel the same because you don't feel healed, and that's
Yeah.
okay. I want to make sure that you're able to validate your pain, your experience. Just say it's okay for me to feel this way. And sometimes in the moment, it's okay to just literally breathe. take your hand over your heart and say, just breathe, let it out, a chance to release whatever you're feeling, if it's anger in that moment, if it's disappointment in that moment, if it's shock, but just being able to breathe and release and let it go. When you go through those stages, like you mentioned, angry, resentment, sadness, shock, numbness, getting to a point of acceptance is powerful. When you're able to forgive, when the past does not define who you are, when you're able to freely talk about your experience and be transparent, when you're able to set yourself free and say, hey, I did this. If it was a relationship, I did this in this relationship. This is what I can improve on, and this is what this person needs to improve on. But having that wisdom to accept it and to move in life so freely, that you are healed and that you are coming up as your authentic self. You are powerful. When you are healed, you're able to go through those stages, get the help that you need, and continue to look forward to the day and have that wisdom to tell other people, give other people wisdom to not go through what you went through, and most importantly, to say, I'm here now, and here are the skills to help you go through it and be successful in life.
Yeah, so powerful. And I think the beauty is of that is just so evident to be able to use your own pain, your own recovery, your own learning and lessons to then help other people to kind of limit or reduce the amount of pain that they go through. Like they say, if you leave a person better than you found them, then you've done your job. And it's a really beautiful feeling, isn't it, to know that you've changed somebody's life and you've maybe enlightened them in a way that's really helped them to come out of whatever painful experience that they might have been through. So I love that, and I love how you said about how we go through the different stages, but it doesn't necessarily need to happen so exactly in that sequence. You can fluctuate in and out of those, but overall you are moving forward in terms of being a healed person, fully authentic to yourself, in terms of your true personality. So I love that, and that's also the place from where other people receive the best version of you as well. So you owe it to yourself, you owe it to everybody that's around you, that you care about in your life, to be that best version. So great, amazing. So that brings us on to our last question, which is about positive affirmations for healing. Now, affirmations are really powerful, really helpful to people. So I'm going to ask you some of the powerful affirmations that you live by and you share with your clients.
Yes, I believe that affirmations are so important. The experts say that when you say something or do something for 21 days,
Hmm.
that has a significant impact on your life. And I find that very true. So one of the first affirmations for me, and Ari, you mentioned this, is I am worthy. Let me tell you why that affirmation is so important. I am worthy. You are worthy to be healed. You are worthy to move forward. You are worthy, ladies, to have a deserving life full of love, full of positivity, and to live abundantly. A lot of times, women, we feel that we're not worthy, but we are the nurturers. We are the mothers of the world, the sisters, the daughters. And saying, I am worthy, looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I am worthy every day is so important, because you are worthy of all this goodness that Jesus made a way for you. That is one positive affirmation. Another one, this is, I am a overcomer. Overcomer, when you think of someone that's an overcomer, they have overcome obstacles in their life, whether it be via trauma, arguments, but you are saying, I'm an overcomer. I'm not thinking about the past, The past does not define who I am. I overcame that. I overcame this person. This is where I am now. They actually have a movie called Overcomer, and it goes through the process of overcoming things that you went through and forgiving. So looking yourself in the mirror every day and saying, I am an overcomer is very important, and it changes you. You say, you know what? I can get through this. I'm going to keep moving forward. And I think that is so important. Another one, a lot of times we say this when we think of finances, but it says, I am a lender and not a borrower. And let me tell you how it relates to healing. When you are not healed, you are giving someone your time and your energy, whether they are physically in front of you or behind you, but you're taking your energy to focus on it. So you're letting them borrow your time. You're letting them borrow your energy. You don't want that. I don't want that for you. But when you say, I am a lender, you are able to show up as your authentic self. And then we're going to flip it, ladies. We're going to say, I'm a lender. I'm going to give out my positive energy. I'm going to give out my time to people that deserve it, to people that respect me. And I think that is so important. You are not a borrower. You are a lender, and to show up as your authentic self. And last but not least is, I am healed. Saying it, writing it every day, even when you're still going through those stages, it is adequate, because the goal is you want to be healed. So when you are saying that every day, when you are writing it, guess what? That positive words, and ladies, let me say, even if you don't mean it, you don't, not yet, say it, write it down, because you are speaking life into yourself to say, I am healed. I'm going to move forward. Ladies, take a time to even write a poem about being healed and what it looks like for you. I've done that for myself. I've done that with a past client of mine, but saying you are healed, writing it, speaking it, living it. But I think that is just so important to manifest and say those affirmations to yourself.
Yeah, so beautiful, so powerful. And it almost the affirmations just describe the journey of the process and the path to healing, and finishing off with I am healed, meaning that none of what happened in the past, dictates what's going to happen in my future, in terms of I'm not carrying the trauma or the pain on my back anymore like a ton of bricks. I've let that go, and I'm now focused on good intentions and positive energy for myself and for others that I'm connected to. And like the one you said about I am worthy, that's often connected to the single biggest limiting belief that people have is I am not enough. So the opposite of that is I am enough. I am enough for all the things that I do, that I desire, for all the experiences that I have, the places that I go. Because often people limit themselves because they don't feel like they deserve things. So they actually sabotage themselves from getting the things that they want, because truly, deeply, underneath it all, they don't feel like they deserve it. So, a lot of women have an inner critic, and they feed into it. They listen to it, and they think, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't do that because I don't deserve it, or that girl or that woman. They compare themselves, and they don't give themselves a love and cherish themselves in the way that they deserve to be cherished. Because like you said, you use the example of Jesus. So whatever spiritual path that we talk about, that we use, we're all different. We're an acceptance of everybody else's preferences, but whatever you use, we are all, you could say, God's children. So we're not undeserving in his eyes. So why do we make ourselves undeserving in our own eyes or in the eyes of others? So a lot of the times people are affected by how other people make them feel, how other people treat them, how other people judge them. So I've got some just up on that, which is because those things can be really disempowering. So one that I would say was, everybody's journey is different, so accept that. Everybody's journey is different. That is okay. I don't need to be like anybody else. I don't need to copy anybody else. I am happy being me. Being happy in your own skin is so important, and it helps helps people. So if I embrace myself based on my differences. So that rather than them being a weakness, as people may try to reflect that upon you based on how they judge things, actually that's your strength. That's how you stand out. That's how you choose to stand in your power to stand out. And you're not afraid of standing out. There's nothing wrong with that. Opinions of others are a reflection of them and do not define my reality. So often, if you go to different environments and you're worried about what people are thinking about this, that, or the other, or this happened to me, or that happened to me, and this person might think this. Everybody goes through that when they're young. When you're in your early 20s, people put on like a face, and or they just try to fit in, and it takes real emotional maturity to actually say, I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'll be nice to everybody. If you yourself have good intentions for yourself and others, you don't need to worry about what anybody else thinks of you. That's their problem, and it's a confession of character for them, not for you. So I'm really now trying to bring people, women, to hone in on that inner strength, that inner resilience, that inner confidence, which is what Ladies Who Lead are all about. Because I see people losing their power and their strength in this journey. So sticking to really being brilliant as you are, being brilliant as you are in your recovery journey, and especially as the most healed version of you. Everybody gets there at different times. Respect your time, and it's okay. It's okay however long it takes, and the journey that you have to get through to get there, as long as you have the intention to get there. And it's a beautiful place when you are. Yeah, thank you so much for your affirmations. They are so empowering, which is exactly what I expected from you, being a women's empowerment coach. So yeah, totally, really good. So on that, we've come to the end of our questions now. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us so much valuable insight to help people on something that's so natural, so normal, the process of healing. I'm sure everybody can relate to it. Not a single person, I would be surprised, would say I've never been through anything negative in my life, because it's all part and parcel of being human, I suppose. So tell us where people can find you, if they want to get in touch, if they want to work with you.
Sure. I want to thank you too for having me on this empowering show. And ladies, feel free. My name is Life Coach Miss Starr, and I am on all the social media, main social media platforms. So you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I am on a radio station, Red Media Radio, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for Therapeutic Tea Tuesdays with Life Coach Miss Starr. Feel free. My favorite platform is definitely YouTube. Feel free to check out my empowering videos. And ladies, if you're in the Boston area, in Connecticut, in Massachusetts, actually next month, I will be speaking. So, and that's just one of many events. So feel free to connect with me on any of those platforms, and I would be honored to have you.
Wow, thank you so much. You're obviously doing lots of amazing things, and good luck for your where you'll be speaking on the summit next month. I'm sure that's going to be amazing. I'll try to connect to listen in. So thank you so much again for being here. It's been amazing. I'm sure our viewers have got a lot of insight from today's episode, and I look forward to connecting with you again and collaborating. I'm sure there'll be many opportunities for us in the future as well. So thank you again, and I hope everybody enjoyed today's episode, and see you next time.